In the previous video, we looked at what happens when work becomes the daily grind. Literally, the daily grind. In that case, economic analysis can be particularly useful in generating lessons for managers. So in essence, we have the dismal science meets the daily grind. Now as a reminder, economic analysis assumes that workers are rational and self-interested, they like income but dislike work. Now if those assumptions fit your workers, then economic analysis can generate useful insights, can help you anticipate and predict potential worker behaviors. But you have to be careful, you have to look at these assumptions. Do these assumptions actually fit your workers or not? If they do not, then we should wait till Module 3 and look at other models of worker behavior. But when work is the daily grind for your employees, then economic analysis can provide a number of important insights for you as a manager. So one of the key concerns that emerges from economic analysis of workers is a concern with opportunism. What is opportunism? It's pursuing one's own interests even when they run counter to somebody else's interests. For example, in this case, the interests of the organization. Now, in the workplace, a key form of worker opportunism is shirking. What is shirking? What's also known as loafing. Just think of it as a lack of full work effort. So, suppose you hire somebody for an hourly wage rate or a salary. What are you actually buying? You hope that you're buying their actual work effort. But in fact, what you're really buying is their potential. You're just buying their potential effort. And you as the manager need to figure out some way to get the worker to live up to and actually deliver his or her potential. So, how do you do this? Through an economic lens, economists view the employment relationship as a form of contracting because it involves an understanding of mutual expectations and performance obligations. Now, if it was possible to write what's known as a complete contract that was legally enforceable, then worker effort would be achieved legalistically. You would simply enforce this type of contract by firing or fining workers that failed to live up to everything that's specified in the contract. But there are numerous reasons why this is very difficult, if not impossible, to do. For example, you can't possibly foresee every possible contingency. So how can you write it into a contract? More importantly, there's what's known as imperfect information. Information that is difficult or at least very costly to collect. So it's difficult, hard to monitor employees and observe exactly what they're doing. And therefore, it's difficult to determine the cause of all the different outcomes. So if a performance objective isn't met, when you can't observe the entire conditions of the environment, you don't know whether it was the worker's fault or not. And so it's really a very difficult basis for which to enforce or even write a contract. So contracts around effort, we're talking here about effort, not around wages. So contracts are implicit and incomplete. It's really more about specifying or reaching understandings around general expectations, not trying to write down detailed specifics. So what happens when contracts around effort are incomplete? So remember that economic models of workers and organizations assume that workers like income, but not effort. So then a key result is that if an employer pays a fixed wage, employees will exert the least amount of effort that keeps them from getting fired. That is, a worker will shirk. Again, this is a form of worker opportunism. Now, to go back to the pain cost and opportunity cost concepts from the previous video, shirking can be seen as effort avoidance if work is painful and a pain cost, or it can be seen as a form of on-the-job leisure if leisure is preferable to working. So this raises a whole class of problems that economists call principal-agent problems. That is, how to get an agent, in this case a worker, to act in the interests of somebody else, the principal, in this case an organization. That is, how do we get workers to not step out of line and follow their own goals, pursue their own interests, pursue their own rewards? This is a very important concept. Agency problems can happen in lots of situations. They can happen wherever an agent's interests differ from that of the principal. For example, there are things that you might want to do to help your own career, but aren't necessarily the best for the organization. Maybe you want to pursue accomplishments that are easy for outsiders to see, so you can be bid away on that basis, and you'll do that at the expense of things that are important to your own organization, but are more difficult for other organizations to see. So what are the solutions to principal-agent problems? Well, one solution is monitoring. You can use information technology to track call length and time the distance between calls of call center employees, or do other things to monitor employees. But for many occupations, information asymmetries, in which workers have better information about their own effort and their own jobs, make it difficult to rely on monitoring as a solution to principal-agent problems. So, yes, monitoring employees, managing their performance is a big part of being a manager. However, it's naive to think that you can rely on monitoring to prevent shirking, prevent opportunism in all cases. Think of how costly it would be for you to monitor employees in so many different instances, so many dimensions of their job. So this is where economics can come in handy, again, if your workers meet the assumptions of economic analysis. And what is the economic solution? Well, economics assumes that workers like income, and so therefore the economic solution is financial incentives, in which it becomes in a worker's self-interest to work hard to receive financial rewards, financial incentives in return. So the standard economic solution to a principal-agent problem is to think about incentives, and that will be the subject of the next video.